Good morning, dudes and dudettes. It's a beautiful day, springtime, California, in the mountains, blue sky, fresh air. Couldn't ask for better. I've been wanting to start this video series for some years now. Actually, I've been compiling and accumulating these little tidbits and tips for you guys. So let's begin. This new series is going to be called Teaching Philosophy, and it's funny because sometimes students ask me, do I teach philosophy? I'm like, no, I don't teach philosophy. What I can do is I can teach the philosophy of teaching. So anyways, there's a bit of a pun there, teaching philosophy and teaching philosophy. All right, so the most important thing you could ever do for your students, or in this case, it applies to your employees, your kids as a parenting technique, your friends as you communicate with them, as you mentor them, or you coach them through some difficulty, that you're there for them to support them emotionally. When we're talking about people who have coaching businesses, small businesses and consulting, or martial arts, or self-defense trainers like myself, this perhaps can be very useful to you. So join me, walk with me this journey. We'll make a long-term project of it. I'll make videos regularly and share with you guys these topics that, it took me many years and a lot of struggle to learn. And if you find it to be useful, let me know and I can help tailor the conversation to you, and maybe this stuff can be useful to you as well. Okay, so getting into it. Inspire attitude. This is really the most important thing as a teacher that I could ever share with you. And after years and years and years, I've been a teacher now going on for 16 years now. And more important than anything else that you can give them equipment, you can give them knowledge, you can give them skills. None of that matters compared to inspiring them to adopt an attitude. Now, how does this fit? How does this make sense? I recently reconnected with my old tutor, my old mentor from high school, a guy named Jeff. And at that time, you have to understand, I was a very poor student in high school. I was failing in every aspect academically. I was not going to make it to college. I was probably not even going to graduate high school, or maybe barely graduate high school. And you look at me now, you're like, Brian, you're so smart. You know so much. How is that possible? Well, because Jeff was able to inspire me and show me that there's not just one way to learn, and there's not one right way or wrong way for someone to gain knowledge, and that the public school system is, very much set in its ways of kind of a sink or swim environment, which is to say that if the student fails, it's the student's fault. And when I was working with Jeff as his student, and we hired him as a tutor, at the time he was working for the Princeton Review, which is a test prep and private tutoring company for high school level and college level students. He was able to inspire me that, this material is not that difficult if you just apply your mind to it. And maybe what you're struggling with is not that the material is hard, but that the teacher hasn't had the right inspiration. The teacher hasn't had the right methodology. The teacher hasn't had the motivation to try a different method to find what works for you. And again, back in middle, in the public school system, it's like a one-size-fits-all approach, but that's not actually how people learn. You have to find what inspires a student to want to learn this material, what inspires the students to find the material to be engaging and interesting, and then the student will catch on, right? Did Jeff teach me everything about geometry? No. Did he teach me everything about algebra or arithmetic or trigonometry or reading comprehension or essay writing? He didn't teach me all those things. He inspired me that there is a way to learn things, and if I'm not learning it, first of all, I need to find why I need to learn it. And second of all, I need to find how to learn it. And if I can find those two things that work for me, then learning is easy and it's enjoyable and it's fun and you get where you want to go because, you graduate high school, you go to college, you learn whatever you want to learn. And now look at me, I'm a professional teacher. I've been a professional teacher for a lot of years. And I love my career and I love working with my students, and my students get super engaged. I'll give you an example. We do very, very thorough beginners classes, firearm safety and self-defense in our program. That's what it's called. And just a couple weeks ago, we had some twins, 14 years old, come in, a boy and a girl, fraternal twins. And then they spent the whole day, 12 hours, hanging out with the adults, learning stuff, shooting guns, discussion, everything like that. And I asked them at the end of the day, I'm like, did you guys have fun? Did you learn stuff? What'd you get out of this? They're like, dude, you have no idea. We probably learned more in one day than we have in a whole year of high school. Because, I'm asking them to turn on their brain. I'm inspiring them through discussion, through conversation, and through practical real-world application to learn about the world that they live in. So this could be bridging on topics of anthropology and history and political science and sociology, current events, conflict theory, right? Did I say psychology? Did I say political science? Whatever, criminology. Right? So it could be so many different things. Then I'm asking them questions on like physics, like what's Newton's third law, right? And so basically there's no bounds to what a teacher can do with a student if you understand everything is interconnected. Every topic, every genre of knowledge interconnects. If you just understand that it's important to know these things, people will learn it. People will want to learn it. They're curious. Particularly young people are naturally curious, right? So if someone's naturally curious, all you have to do is inspire them to want to learn. You don't got to go and teach them everything. You don't have to put everything up on a PowerPoint. And I have a strict policy in school, in class, which is to say, if it's not important, I won't tell you. I'm sorry. If it's not important, I will tell you, right? And I define not important as you can look it up on Google. If you can just go on your phone and just look up a piece of information, then to me, that's not important. If you ask me, hey, Brian, what's the muzzle velocity for a 5.56 M193? 55 grain full metal jacket bullet out of a 20-inch barrel. And, that's something you can easily look up, easily Google. And I'm like, okay, it was going to be 3,100 to 3,300 feet per second, depending on your temperature and barrel length. And depending on your temperature and your load. That's something you can easily look up. It's a trivia question. It's not important. It's like it's a fixed thing. It's not a variable. Anyways, that's a matter of inspiring attitude, right? So for you guys have gained that point, which is if it's look upable, then it's not important. So then let's spend our time on things that you cannot look up, right? That's an attitude as a teacher of how we prioritize our time. So already there's an example. Now, to inspire someone as an attitude, well, how do you get them to want to adopt the attitude? You can bring them the attitude, but how do you get them to adopt it? For example, back to the firearm safety attitude, which is like, hey, we're going to teach firearm safety today. All right, you ready? Firearm safety is your job. The consequences are yours, the responsibility is yours. All right, we're done talking about firearm safety. Well, why such a short conversation? And the answer is they can look it up, but they need to hold that as a priority, that they are going to be in charge of it. Not me. I'm not in charge of it. You're in charge of it, right? That's an attitude. I'm passing on that attitude. Now, what if you show them an attitude, but your receiver of the communication, your student or your employee, your mentee, your kid doesn't want to adopt that attitude? You have to show them the confidence and the self-respect and the life experience that you can demonstrate, you can articulate, you can elaborate at any time why this is important and why it is so, right? And that, if you can do that, if you can demonstrate, if you can articulate, if you can elaborate, then you develop credibility, then the person has confidence in you, they trust you, you have rapport, and now they're like, yeah, that's cool. This guy's got it covered. This guy has my best interests. I'm going to follow his footsteps. I'm going to follow his lead. All right. So, any questions for me? If you like these things, let's make more of these videos. I have a lot of these topics ready for you guys. Let's talk about why things are important. Let's talk about why the importance of using people's names. Let's talk about the importance of the customer, the students' emotional investment, physical investment into doing what we're doing as far as their customer satisfaction. Let's talk about setting expectations for customers and for students. These are all great topics that we can talk about. So if you have a small business, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, if you're an employer, maybe you could find these to be interesting. Maybe you find benefit in listening to these videos. Let me know in the comments, give this a like, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.